13:55 to play in the first half. The Raiders totally dominating the game on offense. Their offense not effective against Cincinnati, or they didn't feel it was where it should be. This week there's much more precision. Don Criqui with Jim Turner on a very hot day in Southern California. The Raiders lead the Oilers 6-0. Los Angeles scoring on its first possession today, and coming near the end zone again is Marcus Allen accelerating out of the three-point. Rockets on down to the 10-yard line of Houston. Marcus Allen with a 14-yard gain.
I think we're seeing the classic example of being able to run against the 3-4 and the linemen opening gaping holes, coming in and screening off the linebacker so that then Marcus can take it on his own. They're just having a field day, doing just about what they want to do.
Marcus a little shaken up. Pruitt goes back weak side and takes it right in. Raiders caught him looking. Started to pull the guards like they're going to bring a big student body left and hand off to Greg Pruitt, who rockets in. Touchdown Raiders.
And a perfect misdirection play with Todd Christensen doing the big seal block. Their tight end, number 46. He sealed it off. He's the reason for the success. Look at it. An obvious cutback. Christensen sealing everybody off. Then it's just a race to the end zone. Don, 3 Heisman Trophy winners on the field today. And there's Christensen right there. Able to seal them off. Pretty good stand-up battle right there. And then they go for the touchdown. 3 Heisman Trophy winners today, and the runner-up, Greg Pruitt.
You're talking about Earl Campbell?
Yes.
Sure. Well, unfortunately, he's on the sidelines. We've not seen Earl because of a knee problem, but he was indeed the Heisman Trophy winner in '77. Barr gets a hand after missing a field goal and an extra point earlier, and the Raiders extend their lead now to 13-0. They say that offensive linemen really don't get the accolades they deserve when they have a good game, Jim, till everybody watches the game film. But these Oilers, they're taking on the defensive front of the Raiders and doing well on the pass blocking. Here is a draw play, and Moriarty breaks it open. He's not done. Moriarty into open field. The rookie from Notre Dame crosses midfield. Gets a block. He's still going down inside the 25. Runs out of gas and out of turf at the 15-yard line. So Larry Moriarty from nearby Santa Barbara, California, rips off an 80-yard run from scrimmage. Earl doesn't do any better than that.
Earl couldn't have done better than that. I'm not sure, though, but he might have tightened up. He's a big, big weightlifter, an advocate of the weights, and if you tie up a little bit, we'll be able to take him. Watch how he get the end of it. Well, we'll see at the very end of it how he runs into his own receiver at the same time his blocker, and then runs out of gas and falls down.
Nothing slow about that Holston either.
No, well, Lester Hayes there to grab him, too.
But the Oilers rip off a big gainer. Moriarty takes it, breaks 2 tackles, and then goes almost the distance, an 80-yard run. And down that crouch.
Going to sneak up and scare the ball. I've never seen a stance like that in my life.
Didn't hit a lot on it, but he had the accuracy, and he is up and through, and the Oilers are on the board with 23 seconds to play in the first half. A 40-yard field goal by Florian Kemp gives Houston its first points of the day.
Tom, this is the strangest approach to a ball I've ever seen by any kicker ever in history. He's going to sneak right up on an extremely confident young man. Goes right through it. Doesn't matter if it's just barely makes it. It still goes down. It's 3 points.
3 points it is. Archie Manning was a fabulous athlete at Ole Miss. The White Sox wanted to sign him to a $100,000 bonus as a shortstop. Says you've got to learn discipline in the league, though. They had him running at New Orleans strictly out of necessity. They didn't have the blockers. And here is a sack as Alzado comes through and knocks down Archie Manning. The first sack of Archie Manning this season. Coming on the second last play of the first half. 1 second remains on the clock. And the Oilers call a timeout. Clock stops in the last 2 minutes when the quarterback is down behind the line of scrimmage.
You get that outstanding rush from Long and Alzado in there. Everybody else is deep for the pass for the Raiders, and they come right in. Take him down for the count. Lyle Alzado, that's his 3rd sack of the year.
You play with Lyle a lot of years.
You bet I did. And I'll tell you, he's intense. Now he'll get you in trouble. He'll drop a penalty or 2 on you. He's the epitome of what I call the intimidator. Try to take a guy out of his game plan, lose his head, maybe both of them get. And you'll see now that a helmet cannot be used as a weapon.
Lyle Alzado and Chris Ward were going at each other all day.
There it goes. Now they're intimidating. They're doing some smacking in there, and he throws the helmet at him. New rules change. Should have been thrown out of the game right there, but now they've helped the officials. That's called major intimidation. Lyle Alzado.
A sunny day in L.A. A little too sunny, a little too hot. 100 degrees, well over that on the playing field. The Oilers, this will be the last play of the first half, go to the draw. And Kraft gets a load of Alzado again. Big Lyle comes smoking out of the three-point once again. And the first half ends with Los Angeles in the lead, 13-3. NFL 83 is coming up next on NBC. We'll be back with the Raiders in the lead, 13-3 at halftime. Larry Moriarty threatening to go over 100 yards as a runner. Only one other back other than Earl Campbell's done that for the Oilers in '78. Not a bad per carry average. 20.5. Got 80 of it in one. Second down and 14. Rob Carpenter was the other to get over 100. Here's a long throw. A man is there, and the ball is caught. There's also a foul against the Raiders if he did not catch it. A tremendous play, beating Ted Watts down the field, and coming up with the ball for the Raiders is Herky Walls, the rookie from the University of Texas.
Receiver has to be given the opportunity to get to the ball, and he was shielded out by the defensive back of the Raiders. He's got to be able to come right in and catch the ball. He was not allowed that. Take another look at it. Herky coming down. They say this man can flat out fly, the rookie from Texas. He's got the right of way, so to speak, to the ball, and Ted Watts did not allow it here. Turned his back away from it, puts the elbow up on Herky, almost catches it anyhow. It's an outstanding
Herky
ball.
had some great numbers, Jim, last year for the Texas Longhorns. Corey Long, one of the emerging stars in the defensive line, one of the best in the league. Third and goal. Manning takes a look, takes a run, throws on the run into the end zone. And Manning is very nearly intercepted. Three Raiders converged on the ball but couldn't pick it off. There's Ted Watts, who had his hands on it and lost it. Ted Watts from Texas Tech. Got the height and the distance. And he has got the range, so Florian Kempf is good. 2 for 3, and he puts the Oilers up with a second field goal, and they now trail by a touchdown, 13-6. We'll be back with the Houston kickoff after this.
They had so many opportunities earlier to get the ball into the end zone, and they continue to run it with the guys who are not having any success.
Well, when you sit and watch, we're all coaches with 20/20 hindsight, but you wonder why they don't go to a big back Moriarty, because Kraft just can't muscle this defense. Second and 4, pitch back Marcus Allen. And Allen is across midfield. He is down to the Oilers side of the field, out of bounds at the 46-yard line. Tim Joyner, an excellent linebacker prospect from LSU, 57, ran him out.
Marcus as the deep back, very similar to what he ran and won the Heisman Trophy with on this very field while he was with USC. The sweep right, an outstanding lead block.
Barnwell goes wide right. Wide to the left is Branch. You get an end zone look at the Raiders. Straight up the middle, running high with the ball is Pruitt, who's been in the end zone once. He's ahead for yet another first down, a 16-yard gain, and the Raiders now at power football will go first and goal from the Houston 6.
And you talk about the Oilers offensive line, but the outstanding blocking. See how they control that middle right up the gut, with Pruitt just taking it just about in for 6.
He got close. That's the end of the third quarter. The score is Los Angeles 13, Houston 6. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Has been a starter in its previous 4 seasons for the Raiders, or for the Oilers. Now Plunkett throws in the end zone, a quick pitch, and it's good for a touchdown to his tight end, Todd Christensen. So Plunkett again looks off the Oilers secondary by looking into the corner to wide out, turning out, and guns the ball over the middle to his big tight end for the Oilers, giving up a third touchdown in this game.
He looks him off. They haven't thrown to Todd for the last 5 or 6 minutes. He just steps right into the end zone, screens him off. It's a nice play by the quarterback. Just a quick look off, knows exactly where he's going on the misdirection, goes right to him in the middle. Touchdown.
Chris Barr's on the field with Mark Wilson holding. This time they've got the precise movement down of center to Holder, kick through, and it's a 20-6 game. 14-11 to go in the ball game. We'll be back. You know, talking about Jim Plunkett, Jim, there's been speculation that maybe this was his last season as the quarterback of the Raiders. He's been around a long time now, 13 years. Some speculation in training camp that Wilson played so well, maybe he would take over this year, but he seems to be a survivor.
Well, he is a survivor, and the key to it this year, they thought their revitalization in the offseason was going to come from one young John Elway. They made a terrific run at trading for John. Al Davis still feels the league blocked that trade somehow. The Broncos ended up with him, and you know Al's upset about that in the Western Division of the AFC.
Not only do you not get him, but he's going to be back to see you twice a year. Or more, depending what happens in the playoffs. Right now, Kraft runs, gets a hole, and then turns upfield on a 1st and 10 play. He comes across the 25-yard line. A gain of about 7. Bob Nelson, one of the inside linebackers, made the stop for the Raiders. Los Angeles in the lead 20-6 with 13:50 to play in the game. Raiders led at halftime 13-3. They won their opener a week ago at Cincinnati 20-10. They've got a big one coming up next weekend. It looks like a matchup of powerhouse unbeaten to the AFC when they play the Miami Dolphins here at the LA Coliseum. At the end of the 3rd quarter today, Denver 3, Baltimore 3. Elway today has completed 8 of 20 passes for 105 yards. He's not been intercepted. It has been defense both ways that has been the story at Baltimore. Manning stands in, loses his footing, now heads in, saved by the 12th man. Archie Reese putting the pressure on. Manning got ahead, though, for a Houston Oiler first down.
Good coverage by the Raiders defense, which pretty good coverage there, and Archie just decides very wisely to take it on downfield, and even wiser yet to run it out of bounds rather than try to run it upfield like Joe Cap. You know, talking about Elway, he's had some pretty tough publicity lately, but the kid is better than I thought he would be, seeing him in Denver each day. But he's working behind a non-existent offensive line.
That can shorten your career. It's tough to complete it on your back. Here's Manning, who might have to try to do that, as he is knocked down at the 32-yard line. The Raiders get the rush. Bob Nelson is a typical Raider product. He was a high draft choice of Buffalo. They didn't think he was very good, and the Raiders got him. He's been a starter for a number of years now. Talking to Art Shell at the Raider practice yesterday, I was asking him, what is it about the Raider organization where guys who are supposedly deportment problems, different places come here and they're great? He said, well, he said, some of these guys have been told all their lives they're bad actors or whatever. He says, they get here and look around, they figure they're not so bad after all.
Yeah, but it really is family. These guys fit in well together. The organization treats these players real good. You hardly ever see or hear of contract negotiation problems with Al Davis.
You have to be around one of their practices to see it's a happy football team. They have fun. Do what you want off the field. They set no dress codes, but you better play on Sunday. The Raiders might lead the league in cars. Got some expensive numbers sitting outside that training camp.
Well, they're a high-paid unit, and they should be, because they're the winningest professional sports franchise in the history, and they are a very fine franchise.
Under Al Davis. 52 seconds left to play. .44 seconds left to go. And the Raiders are going to just take the quarterback kneel and run some more clocks down.
Oilers have to go home and try to figure out how to play a ball game without Earl Campbell in their offensive scheme. Throw the ball shorter, hit the backside of the backfield, but they're not going to be able to play hard ball with the light running backs that they've got under the same blocking scheme they have for Earl.
And our thanks in the booth to Shep Goldberg, Dennis Mnuchin, Chuck Panama, as the clock winds down and the Raiders, on a very hot day in Los Angeles, extend their record to 2 straight wins. Looking strong, and the Oilers get ready for the long ride back to Houston to prepare for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are coming in next week. 20-6, the final score at the Coliseum.